Okay, so I'm doing this video on how to replace the tangential fan or the cooling fan. So this is not the main fan in the back of the oven, it's the one that's located underneath the cooktop. So in this particular oven, the fan was rattling badly and the main fan wasn't turning, so I knew it must have been the cooling fan that was at fault. And so I must state that I'm not an electrician, I'm just a handyman. So I didn't really know how to approach this. I couldn't find anything online, so luckily I managed to do the replacement myself, and hopefully this video helps you if you have the same problem. So step one is very important. Make sure you isolate the power supply to the oven. You can do this by the safety switch for the oven itself, and it's probably a good idea to padlock the switchboard and also turn off your gas supply as well. Okay, step two, you want to lift off your hot plate grates and your hobs, and this will expose the screws that you need to remove to lift off the top cover of the oven. Okay, so to remove the top cover, you want to grab both sides at the front and lift up, and that'll release it from the locating pins. And then once you get that unseated, you just need to wriggle the cover back and forth, bring it away from the wall. And so I'll just show you the locating pins so you know what you're dealing with. There's one of these each side at the front. Okay, so here's an overview of the removal or disconnection points. Be aware that the top bar that houses the rear burners, it's got two clamps either side, which aren't shown. And here's a diagram of the parts that will be removed as a unit. And now here's a breakdown of where to remove different screws or items. In this photo here, make sure you don't lose the bottom parts of the clamp. Also, just double check for yourself while you're doing it, as when I made this video it was about a couple of months after I'd actually done the job. So I'm not sure if there was any screws that I missed, but yeah, you'll be able to see for yourself. So here's the housing for the fan. You want to remove any visible screws that you can see, both sides and at the rear, and any that you can access that'll make it easier. Disconnect your fan wires. Take a reference photo so you know how they go back together. And then you've got two screws on the right side that hold the fan in place. You need to remove those. And unless you want to move more items than I have, such as the front burners and the other pipes, etc., if you want to keep your housing intact, that's fine. The way I did it was I just bent along that line, the red line at the bottom, and lift the back up and towards you, and that should allow you to remove the fan fairly easy. And then, yeah, fairly straightforward. You just reverse the process, put your new fan in, bend the housing back in place, it all goes back fairly neat. No one's going to see it under there, as long as it's fairly sealed off, and it's going to allow the fan to do its job, remove the heat from the oven. Mine bent easily back into its original position. So you want to screw your fan in place, screw the housing back down, reconnect your fan wires, replace the rear bar for the rear elements, and take care with the clamps again. Make sure you don't lose any pieces. Reconnect your gas fittings, and make sure you reconnect your earth wire and put your igniters back on, and then, as you can see, replace the top cover. So push it down onto the retaining pins, and then you just need to screw it back down in place, and obviously replace all your hobs and your grates, and it should be good to go.